race director for Kids of Steel that is happening right now. As we go, actually, I wanted to make a note. Thank you, Kendra, for starting the recording. This meeting is going to be recorded. We are going to be posting it online for anybody who could not attend. So just keep that in mind as you're going. A few meeting etiquette notes. If you have a question, we ask that you please type it in the chat, which you can find at the top of your meeting screen. There's a little bubble there that says chat. Feel free to type questions in there. I am going to go through my entire presentation before I answer questions. So I'll be talking for a few minutes first, and then we'll go through any questions and try to answer as many questions as you have, if there are any. The other thing I wanted to note, just for ease of everybody hearing, if you are not speaking, if you could just keep your mic muted and then unmute when if there's any discussion that comes up, if we have to have. So like I said, my name is Sarah Ridley. I work for Due North Events. I'm the race director for this event. I know some of you probably are longtime participants of Kids of Steel and or have been to some of our other triathlons that we put in Edmonton. So we appreciate your support this year. Also from Due North team here is Kendra. Her camera's off right now, so you probably can't see her waving, but Kendra is serving as our athlete services for Kids of Steel. Kendra is a woman of many hats. She does a lot of things for Due North, but in this case, she is heading up some of the athlete services stuff. Also not on this meeting, but you will be likely seeing on Saturday a little bit. We have volunteer coordinator Amy Archibald is listed in the athlete guide as well, and she will be on site helping get all of the marshals in place and getting people set up to go. So I wanted to go over, really I'm going to be going over the athlete guide in a little bit more detail and giving you some notes that in addition to the information that is in there. Hopefully everybody has had a chance to read through that. You should have all received it a couple of times by email by now. If not, and this is your first time seeing it, maybe go check your junk mail folders just in case. But we are going to be going through a few things. So I'm actually going to start off with showing you yeah, thanks, Kendra. But the screen is a little bit wonky. I also apologize. My 2-year-old is in the background right now, knocking on my door right now. So hopefully one of my family members will come get her. So Kids of Steel, welcome to Kids of Steel. This is a longstanding tradition that we have had in Edmonton. We are excited this year because we are moving our venue back to the Royal Glenora Club. Sorry, that's my 2-year-old in the background. Just gonna go close that door again. I'm recording. That's my family. Thank you for being a part of my evening. So we are moving back to Royal Glenora Club. We have been at that venue for many, many years until it went under construction. I believe, well, 2019 was the last time that we were at Royal Glenora Club and Victoria Park and River Valley Road. And then during COVID, of course, we didn't have events, and then Royal Glenora has been under construction for a few years. Their facility is nice and beautiful and new now, and it is ready to welcome us back. So we're excited to be back down in the River Valley. We appreciated East Glen Pool up when we were there. If your kids have participated the last few years, then they would be familiar with that. But yeah, now we're back at Royal Glenora. So a few race details that I wanted to go through, because a lot of parents, if you're new to triathlon or you're new to Kids of Steel and your kids have not participated, it can be a little bit overwhelming, all of the information that we give. So obviously triathlon has 3 parts to it, 4 parts really. It has the swim, the bike, and the run, and the 4th part is the transition area. So if I'm going to just focus, Kendra, on the one map. So Kendra, I'm going to take over the share screen for 2 minutes because I just wanted to point out a few details about this. So we have had a few updates to some of this. Hopefully you guys can see my screen now, but this is the entire transition area. So when you guys arrive on Saturday morning, I wanted to first go through a little bit of the flow of what you can expect when you come. First thing is parking, how to get there. Our roads, River Valley Road will be closed at between 6 and 7 a.m. So if you're arriving after the road's closed, or if you get to where you think you wanted to go and there's a barricade in place, never fear, there is still a way to get there. All you need to do is get to Fort Way Drive, which is the road right behind the legislature building, and drive down it, and that will take you over to the parking lot right in this area. Hopefully you can see my cursor. You need to cross Fort Way Drive and walk through the parking lot to Royal Glenora Club, and then walk back behind on the trails that are going towards Victoria Park Ball Diamond. This is different than what it was in 2019. If you're coming back after and you have been at this venue before, we're not going into Royal Glenora venue at all. There's no need to. There's actually no access to where we want to go through the Royal Glenora Club. So we are starting our event by walking back along. So if you walk through the parking lot, we'll have signage in place kind of directing you to the right way. You'll walk through the path. I know this dotted line looks like it's on green, but it really is a path, I promise. There's a paved trail there that was going to take you right back to where the entrance gate is, which is this pink entrance gate right here into the courtyard. With that said, we have made a few adjustments to our site laydown area. Originally, we had told you that the athlete check-in was going to be inside the courtyard. We've now made some adjustments just to accommodate for the lunch setup that Royal Glenora wants to do, and just for ease of transition and not everybody having to squish their bikes into the courtyard in order to sign in before they can put them in transition. So this is a major venue update, is that the athlete registration is going to be right here along this fence line. So as you come down this path, you'll see our tents here. Please come check in first. If you're coming to package pickup on Thursday, then you'll already have your wristband, you'll already have your heat information. You will just need to come and let us know that you're here so we can write the number on your child, their race number, and give them their timing chip. Once you have those things, you are able to head straight into transition. If you're between the ages of 5 and 11, you will be using this main transition area. If you are 12 or 13, you will be using this transition area along River Valley Road. But we'll get more in detail about those specific areas in a minute. There will be transition racks in the transition area. Each of them will be assigned to an age group and potentially even to a heat number. So please pay attention to the numbers that are on your child's arm by that point, and the numbers that are indicated on each row in the transition, so you know where to put your bike. Transition, the actual spaces along your row are first come, first serve. So you are welcome to take any open spot that you want in those transition areas. And then before transition closes, it's a good idea to kind of give your child, walk around and show them where the flow of the race is going to go. Make sure that they know where the exit out is on their bike and the exit out is on their run. There will be lots of people there during the race to kind of direct them in case they forget, but it's always nice to calm some nervous children sometimes if you want to kind of walk through what they can expect as the race proceeds. So that's one of the major updates. I just wanted to talk about parking. If there is no parking in this gravel lot, unfortunately, the next closest parking is across the river at Kinsman Park. It's not as long of a walk as it seems. If you come and park down close to the Husky House, the LRT bridge is a few 100 meters away, and you can just cross the bridge and come right over Royal Glenora, and that will take you right across the crosswalk where the entrance of Royal Glenora parking lot is. I want to make an important note that we are not allowed, unless you're a member of Royal Glenora Club, which some of you on this call may be. If you have a membership at Royal Glenora, you can park in their main parking lot, but that parking lot is reserved for members only. So if you're not a member of Royal Glenora Club, please don't try to park there. They do have security on site just to make sure that that parking remains open for their members. All right, Kendra, we can go back to the athlete guide now. I will stop sharing. So as I was saying, there's the 4 main areas of triathlon. The swim, of course, is taking place in the 25-meter pool at the Royal Glenora Club. The entrance to the pool is going to be in the courtyard. So after you set up your transition area and put your bikes down, you guys can come into the courtyard, and there will be swim queue lines and people helping getting your people in order for their heat time. The bike consists of, well, each age group has a different bike distance that they're doing. There'll be people out there, volunteers out there, and signs telling you exactly where they go. Everything is color coded. So most of the kids, with the exception of the 5 and under, will be biking out to River Valley Road and turning right to go west on River Valley Road, and then they turn around at their designated spot. One important part to mention about the bike is that from the transition area, athletes need to walk or run their bike to the mount and dismount line. And we'll look at a map to show you a little bit more in detail of where those are. Excuse me. The run distances also vary depending on age group. Those are also color coded. So your child can kind of look at where the signs are so they know which direction they're going. Again, we'll have volunteers out looking at their wristbands to make sure that they go into the appropriate place. And then, as I mentioned before, the main transition area is that big orange square that was on that map in the main parking lot beside the ball, or the field beside the ball diamond. And then there's a separate transition space for the 12 and 13-year-old age group that's closer to River Valley Road. This does mean that the 12 and 13-year-olds, if you have a child in that age group, have a little bit longer run from the pool. It is all on paved trail and or carpeted underlay that they're going to be doing, so they don't have to run on the gravel. We have thought about that. So, but just so if you can prepare them that it's a little bit of a longer run to there. It does mean that they are going to have a shorter bike they won't have to bike on the gravel, which is why we do that. I know a lot of kids of that age group have road bikes or tri-bikes that they don't want to ride on gravel. So that's why we did that. I did want to note that parking is limited in that overflow parking lot, so get there early and or plan to park at the Kinsman across the street. So just depending on what time your heat starts, you can plan for that accordingly. A couple of pre-race notes. You guys are at this online briefing, obviously, so that is happening right now. Race package pickup is happening Thursday, which is tomorrow, at the running room on 109th Street between 4 and 7 p.m. You can come and get your kids' wristband and their heat information and their t-shirt and the other stuff that is in their package. So a couple of rules and regulations that I wanted to go over. All athletes must exit their transition area before the first heat begins. We're actually going to be separating the main transition area up into 2 areas. So the transition close times for any kids 9 and under is at 7:50 before the 8 o'clock race begins. And then we'll have the 10 to 13-year-olds, if you're in the main transition or in the 12 and 13-year-old transition, they can check in their bikes until 9 a.m. So even if your heat doesn't start until, if you're an older kid and it doesn't start until 10:45 or 11 o'clock, please note that transition closes at 9 a.m. So you still need to show up early to get your bike set up and get your transition area set up and to make sure that everything is ready to go. Oftentimes it's not unusual for us to be running early as well, so we ask that everybody show up on time to make sure that they can get their transition set up, and then just check in to see how it's going and what heat we're on, so you can be prepared even if we are running ahead of schedule. That has been known to happen, so please make sure that you're there early. Athletes must be in the marshalling zone 50 minutes prior to their assigned heat time. The marshalling zone is in the Royal Glenora courtyard. I would say it says 15 minutes. I would say 30 minutes to be safe. Be in that marshalling zone 30 minutes and just listen for your heat time. They'll be calling out throughout the morning as to where we're at, so you have an idea of when you're going to be there. Parents are not allowed into the pool with their athletes, and they must stay in the spectator area. A little bit later on, I'll show you a picture of the pool so you have an idea of what that means. You're allowed in the pool area to watch your child swim. You're not allowed physically in the water with your child. I know that's a question that we have from some of the parents of the younger kids. For the 5 and U age group, we will have assistance in the pool to help them in the pool if they need to. We have a good number of volunteers from the Edmonton Triathlon Academy that are going to be a little bit within arm's reach of those kids who are a little bit younger. Flotation aids, flutter boards are not allowed for all are allowed for all athletes. Sorry, my mistake. But please bring your own. We have a limited number at Royal Glenora Club available. So if you feel like your child needs a flotation device, a flutter board, please bring your own. One parent may assist athletes aged 7 and under in the transition area. This is an important one because a lot of parents want to go run in with their children. If you're 8 and up, the child must be able to do that on their own. So that's a good thing to flag. If you know your child has a hard time with tying their shoes or buckling up their bike helmet, to maybe just take the next couple of days to practice those measures so they can do it. We encourage all kids to do as much on their own as possible, but we understand sometimes getting shoes on, getting socks on, or snapping up your helmet can be difficult. So 7 and under parents, or one parent is allowed to assist in the transition. Athletes must have their helmet on and fastened before they take their bike out of the rack. That's another important thing to practice with your child ahead of time and to make sure that they're clear of that. It's for safety reasons. We want to just make sure that the bike helmet is on appropriately and they are safe before they get in the habit of taking their bike out of the rack. In grown-up triathlons, that's actually a huge penalty if you take your bike out of the rack or touch your bike before your helmet's on. So if they're going to continue in the sport of triathlon, it's good for them to get into that habit of being safely first. So make sure once they get to their transition bike that their helmet goes on first. That's the first thing that they should be doing. And then they can put on their shoes, everything, just to make sure that that helmet is on and fastened. Athletes cannot ride their bike in the transition area. There will be a flow of transition, so they have to take their bikes out of the rack and walk or run it to the exit all the way to the mount line before they can get on their bike. That's also an important rule. You can dismount at the mount and dismount line. Those are actually in two different areas on this, and I'll explain that in a minute. The mount line will be green and the dismount line will be red. So you can also, if you're waiting for your heat, kind of walk out and show your child where those areas are so they are prepared for them. No earphones or headphones are allowed at any time on the course. That's for safety. They need to be able to hear the directions of the course marshals and the volunteers for them. Always remain on the marked race course. The athletes must remain on the marked race course. They're not allowed to cut corners. They're not allowed to go off into the river valley. We want to make sure that they are safe and that the volunteers can assist them if needed. So if they could stay on the marked course, that would be great. And there is no access to the transition area to collect your personal items until the race is complete. This is for safety. We can't have a lot of pedestrian crossover as the race is going on. There's heats going all throughout the morning, so we ask that you just wait until the race is over, and then you can go collect your swim goggles or anything else or your bike and anything else that is in that transition area. All right, thank you. So a few of the course maps. I just want to make a quick note. We've had a slight adjustment to some of these maps. Well, not some of these maps, all of the maps. So slight adjustment, it looks like here, this is the 5 and under, for example, race course. The bike course is the solid line that comes out of the main transition area. The bike course is always indicated in solid line. The run course is indicated in a dotted line, depending on the color that your child is. So either yellow, purple, or red. The only thing that I wanted to note is the bike course now is going to be going back up into the transition on the pathway, not on the road. So they'll be biking out on the gravel parking lot and biking back in on the pathway as Kendra's cursor is there. And yeah, if you go to the next map, the purple, this is the age group for 6 and 7 and 8 and 9. This is the bike course goes out into River Valley Road. They have a shorter bike course than the older kids do. And they will be, yeah, and then the run is similar in the field up by the transition. Same thing for them. They'll be biking out on the road and then biking back in on the pathway. I am seeing questions come in, and I will get to all of the questions in the end after I finish going through these maps. If Kendra, if you can go to the red map now, the next page, that would be great. And this is, again, the course map for the 10 and 11-year-olds. Their run is a little bit longer, so they're going to be coming out of their transition and heading out to the south field over in Victoria Park and then going back up and finishing in the finish area that's there. And then this is where it is a little bit of special note. If there are any parents here for 12 and 13-year-olds, your transition is in a different area. And as I mentioned, we didn't want to have kids with potential tri-bikes or road bikes on the gravel lot. And they're the age group that are most likely to have that kind of bike. You know, mountain bikes are totally fine on the gravel, but road bikes can be tricky sometimes. So their transition is out closer to River Valley Road. which means that they are also starting their run on the southernmost loop. So they run the southernmost loop first, and then they'll go up and finish up at the finish line. So that's important to note. Your transition is in a different area. If you're looking in the main transition and can't find your rack, then that's why it's down on closer to River Valley Road. Next page, just wanted to note the color coding system. We are sticking with the yellow, purple, and red color codes, depending on your age group. For your wristbands, the 6 and 7-year-olds will have a purple striped wristband. The 10 and 11-year-olds will have a red striped wristband. That's just so we can differentiate between the swim laps, because all of the age groups have different swim distances that they do. But they're the same bike course and run course between red and all the red is the same bike course and run course, but different swim lap numbers. And then same with the purple, same bike course and run course, but different swim laps. So that's why we do that, so we can differentiate between the two of those. So the color coding will be really important as you're out on site. All of the signage for turnaround points, different turnaround points and different courses is color coded according to their wristbands. So just tell your kids to look for the yellow or look for the purple or look for the red, depending on whatever color their wristband is. And that will help them know which turnarounds and which course they're going on and which way they should be going and which rack they should be going on. So you can give them that heads up there. Here you can kind of see a picture of the pool area. You can see where the viewing area is. All of the athletes will be starting at the westernmost edge, which is the far end of the pool in this photo, with the exception of the 5 and unders who are only swimming one length of the pool. They'll be starting at the opposite end, just kind of in between where the teach pool is and the main pool is on this photo. That's where the 5 and under, and everybody else will be starting over on the other side. With that said, all of the children will be entering in close to where the middle pool is. The door that is in the courtyard, it will be well marked. You'll see where the lineups are for where the kids will be lining up to get into their heat times and their heat order, according to what the volunteers tell them to do. So that will be from the courtyard. Parents can also enter in that direction at the same entrance that the athletes enter in. You'll just have to work your way over to the north side of the pool there, where there's a little bit more viewing area to stay and watch. You won't be able to exit where the athletes are exit, because that door is a little bit more narrow and we're keeping that way clear for the athletes as they're running out, but you can enter and exit in the main entrance where all of the athletes come in. Next page is the general heat times at package pickup tomorrow. You'll know specifically what heat time you are in. We've tried to accommodate any requests that we've had, because I know that Saturdays are busy, but these times are more difficult to set now. We have these heat times assigned and chips are assigned, so we will do our best we can if we need to make changes, but I can't guarantee that is possible at this time. Heats, generally you're spaced 5 to 10 minutes apart. We've had to make some adjustments just to accommodate for the additional transition and the course changes that we need to do for the 12 and 13-year-olds. So there's a little bit of a break between the 11 and 3, or the 10 and 11 and the 12 and 13-year-olds. You'll notice that on the schedule. But depending on the distances that your child is running, the distances that your child is participating in will depend on how long it takes them to finish the race. Some kids in the younger categories will finish quite quickly, and then some of the older kids, it usually finishes within 30 minutes, depending on how fast they are. On this schedule is some prizing time that's noted. Please note that this is not first, second, and third prizing of everything. It's just draw prizing. So we do have a lot of prizing. This will take place in the courtyard. We welcome you to come stick around and have fun. See if you win a door prize, have some lunch at Royal Glenora. I think there's been emails that have been sent out about the lunch that is available. It will be a nice, fun atmosphere for that. All kids will receive a finisher's medal when they are done their race. And all kids are winners in this race, so that's why we don't do first, second, and third prizing, but we do draw prizing, which is a kind of a fun add-on. I did talk about this venue map a little bit already, but if we have additional questions for it, then we can do that when we get to questions, which I will get to in just a couple of minutes. I wanted to go through the gear checklist really quickly. What should you bring? I would suggest that your child comes wearing their swimsuit, ready to swim. It's an open venue. There's not really a good place to change. We have access to washrooms in the pool. There's portable toilets that will be out on the venue, but there's not really change rooms per se. So I would suggest your child come in their swimming suit with clothes over top and ready to go in their swim. So obviously they need a swimsuit or a tri-suit, whichever they have. If they would like swim goggles to swim with, then that's great. I would suggest bringing a towel for when they're done, not necessarily for transition. Kids are usually pretty good about running out of the pool and just heading right onto the bike. But once they finish the event in total, some of them like to dry off a little bit. I would bring a change of clothes. Most kids usually run in their swimming suits and just throw over a pant and shirt over their swimming suit. But if they would like to fully change a little bit more, I know that's hard depending on what gender you are and what their comfort level is. But yeah, bring a change of clothes after the fact. You do need to wear a shirt for the bike and the run. So boys, if you're swimming with no shirt on, make sure that they have a shirt that they can put on over top of them. And it is triathlon rules that they have to wear a top for the bike and the run. So please keep that in mind if you have any kids that are only wearing swim trunks or swim bottoms for the swim, that they need to have a shirt to put on in their transition area. Probably, I'm going to backtrack with what I said. If they have a helmet, I said put your helmet on first. If they're putting on a shirt, put the shirt on first and then the helmet. That would probably work a little bit better. Make sure you bring your bicycle and your bicycle helmet, your running shoes, and a water bottle that they can keep at their transition area, all for when they are going in between the different disciplines. Optional gear that you can bring: sunglasses, hat, sunscreen, warm post-race clothing or clean clothing to change into after the race, life jacket or flotation device, or water wings. I did see that question pop up. Water wings are totally fine. They can swim with those. And swim cap is an optional thing too. If they are used to swimming with a swim cap, they're welcome to do that. Timing chips will be provided out at the body marking area. So this is a timed race. The results will be available at the end of the event, and those will all be handed out to the body marking area. I think I'll maybe go to question period before. Actually, no, I'll do race day tips and then we'll go to question period first. There's a lot of FAQs on here and some of those questions might be easier to talk through rather than answer them. So race day tip, I've said this already, but do get there early. The road closes. I would expect the road will be completely closed around 6:30, 6:45. So please plan accordingly. One of the other tips that I have is practice transitioning. A lot of kids are very versed in swimming and biking and running, but they're not necessarily versed in what they might feel is a panic of having to transition between them. I mean, transition time for triathlon is an important part of the sport, but for a lot of the first time kids that are participating, we don't want it to be a stressful experience for them. So some kids take their time, some kids try to go really, really fast. As long as they're still having a good experience and having fun, that's what our goal is for Kids of Steel. So it's good for them to verse them of having they know that they are getting the bike helmet on after they swim and then they're running last. Make sure they know which order the sports are in. That was really, really helpful for them. And maybe have them practice, put on their running shoes and put on their bike helmets so they are ready for it and excited to do it when the time comes. Third tip is triple check your equipment. Make sure you have all of your equipment packed. You have your bike helmet, you have your shirt to put on, you have your running shoes ready to go. It is an early morning and nobody wants to forget anything the morning of. It's always disappointing if you don't have something that's really important for running. I also suggest getting your bike serviced or looked at prior to the event just to make sure it's in working order. We do have a mechanic on site that if you have any questions or need any help the morning of, he will be there to help you out. But it's always good to make sure that it's in working order first. And then learn the pre-race flow. So again, this is with that transition part. Go directly to your designated, or I would change this. Come directly to body marking and check in first, and then you'll have a better idea of what your designated transition area is. If you are comfortable with that and have done this before, you're welcome to go to there first. If you have your heat time, it is marked, so you can go drop off your bike and drop off your transition stuff before you come get your chip. It's depending on what your comfort level is. You can do either or. As I said, there will be designated rows and designated areas in transition. So some of the older kids will still be able to come into the last half of, or the top end of transition while the race is going on. So we're just going to make sure that everybody is entering and exiting correctly. So if you are coming a little bit after 8 o'clock and you're just setting up, or if you're a 9 and up or 9 to 13 years old and your transition, you still need to set up your transition. Just ask your child to be conscious of the race that's going on and to listen to the volunteers and the directions that they need to go. It's a good idea to set up your equipment and your apparel neatly around your bike. The transition can get really busy and get really packed. Bikes are right next to each other. So if your kids' shoes and bike helmet are all strewn all about, I can't guarantee that they're going to be able to find them in the moment that they need to find them. So make sure that you are helping them put their helmet on their handlebar, make sure that their shoes are right beside their bikes so everything is neatly in place and they can find what they're looking for when they are coming for it. Parents are allowed to help set up their transition area. They're just not allowed to help during the transition during the race, just to clarify that. I mentioned this already, but I'll say it again. When you do get to transition, make sure that you look around for where the exits and entrances are so your kid knows which direction they need to go. It can be really confusing when there's lots of people running all over the place and volunteers are kind of yelling at them at which way to go. Depending on who your kid is, it can be overstimulating. So make sure that they are familiar with that ahead of time. And then make sure you have your number written on your arm and your leg and your timing chip before the race starts. There's no race bibs in this. This is a triathlon. We don't pin anything on them. It's just the body marking that is on their arms. And we just write that on with a waterproof marker. There's lots of locations for the parents to be watching at different areas throughout the race, but I will just say that if you are watching your child or kind of following along them, make sure that you're being conscious of other racers and not running on the course. Try to stay to the side of the course as best as possible. There are some tight areas of this course, especially coming in from the dismount line. Coming in from the bike is a really tight area, so there's not a ton of room all the time. So just try to be conscious and make sure that you're not standing on the course and around. And please listen to volunteers if they ask you to step aside or to move to a better location. So with that, thank you. I can see a lot of questions coming in. So let's try to go through them if any of them haven't been answered yet. So Lena, you did ask, will the kids age 6 swim in the deep end in the lanes? It does have a deep end of the pool. Like I said, they're actually starting at one end of the pool. I think the 5 and under are actually starting in the shallow end of the pool and going to the deep end, if I recall correctly. But like I said, for ages 7 and under, there will be swim aids in the pool. So even if they're in the deep end, they're allowed to have flotation devices, and they will be they're not lifeguards, but they're swim helpers in the pool to help them along if they need it. The flotation device can be anything, including a swim belt or flutterboard. Thank you, Sophia. Yes, that is true. It can be anything. Swim belt, any sort of flutterboard. Water rings are fine. Life jacket is fine. Yes, I did answer that question, Chris. Yes, parents can go help set up their transition areas. Always a good idea. I know my idea of neat and my child's idea of neat is very different. So you're allowed to go into the transition to help them set up their gear. You're just not allowed in the transition once the race begins, or to help your child through their transition periods between the bike and the run, the swim and the bike and the run. So the entire event will be finishing up for 10 and 11 girls specifically, we're expecting to be off the road by noon. That is what we have anticipated for the time of the road opening. So all the biking will be done by noon. Some of the 12 and 13-year-old girl runners, female runners, because they're the last heat to go, will probably be on the course until closer to 10:15, or even 12:15, 12:20. But we are expecting all racers to be off the course completely by no later than 12:30. So are you able to head out? Honestly, yeah. Who asked this question? Tian. Yes, you probably will be able to head out right after they're done. The reason for that is because the 12 and 13-year-old transition is in a different location. So by the time we are finished, the 10 and 11-year-old girls, that entire transition area will probably be open, and you'll probably you can go in and get your stuff and go. And yes, water rings are okay to use. Yes, all children will be receiving a participation medal. So that is totally fine, Katie. Your child will be receiving a medal. They're really great this year. They're really cute. So yes, you can absolutely manage that expectation how you feel is necessary. They will be getting a medal. All kids at the finish of the race will receive their medal. They'll receive a little bit of lei, or not a little bit. They'll receive their Hawaiian leis because this is a Hawaiian island theme. That may or may not be loosely based off of the cartoon Moana. I don't know if you've noticed that in any of our marketing. So yeah, they will receive that. And then all kids receive also a snack at the end of the race. Usually it's like a juice box and a Rice Krispie square or a fruit snack or something like that. So that's what they get at the end of the race. So the age, yeah, does it say somewhere in this package age as of December 2024? If it does, it meant to say December 2025. So the question is, does the age considered as of December 2024 or December 2025? It's meant to say December 2025. So if your child is born or turns a different age before December of the end of this year, then that is the age category that they are in. So potentially if you are what's an age group? So if you're like 7 years old, so you think you're in the 6 and 7 category, but you're actually turning 8 this year, you technically would be in the 8 and 9-year-old category, which impacts their swim time distances. Those bike and run distances are the same. So if your child is on the age cusp of going up or is turning an age already or still this year, then they will be racing in the age category of what they turn this year, if that makes sense. And not silly questions at all, Lena. I appreciate your questions. If you have them, I'm sure other people do too. Sorry, Kendra, I can't tell which of these you've answered and which see, oh, Christy's answering. I'm going through this chat, so I apologize if I miss anything. So yes, this question is about wearing swimsuits. Yeah, most kids, like I said, participate in the entire event wearing their swimsuit. If they need to change completely, like there's no places for them to change between the swim and the bike. So I think that's one expectation you can manage is that they will be biking and running in their swimsuit. If they want to put shorts and a top over top of those, well, boys need to be wearing a shirt. Girls, if you want to put a shirt over top of your swimming suit, that's fine as well, for the bike and run portion. We will have lots of volunteers out showing everybody where to go, especially in transition, because transition there is a very specific flow that they have to go. So we can hopefully manage and not have kids running into each other. The flow is clockwise. So where they run in from the swim, they'll run around transition. I know I'm pointing with my fingers, and maybe I will just share a quick map right now, Kendra, if that's all right. Oh, yeah. You're not sharing right now, so I can't do that. I just have to find my map again. I can kind of go over what that will look like on this big map. So if you can follow my cursor, all of the kids will be running out of the pool right about here at this location. They'll be running straight out into transition this way. Instead of running any which way to their bike rack, all kids will be running out of the top of the transition and down this way to enter their bike racks this way. So it was all counterclockwise rows. Oh, sorry, I get confused with counterclockwise and clockwise often, but that is counterclockwise. They'll be running counterclockwise to go out. So all of the running will be happening in this direction. And then if they're running out of transition, so if they pick up their bike in the middle of transition, they'll take their bike this way, come down this way, and run out for the bike out right here, if you can see where my cursor is. It can be confusing. So yes, there'll definitely be volunteers telling them where to go. There'll be signage and arrows telling them where to go. They won't be alone. They won't be the only one. There'll be lots of kids in the same boat as them. So we do our best to try to make sure that everybody goes the right direction. How many kids are in the pool at a time? It depends on how many are in your heat. And that depends on how many kids are in each age group and which gender. In each lane, there's usually between 2 to 3 kids in the pool in that lane at a time. With the swim aids, we have lifeguards on staff. We have lane counters on each lane, so there's lots of supervision. But yeah, there can be up to 2 or 3, sometimes 4, depending on if it's a really busy heat or not, all swimming in the lane at one time. Any style of swimming is okay for triathlon. Front stroke is the common one, but if your kid is more comfortable with backstroke, then that's fine. Any style is okay for them. What is included in the package? Was this answered already? I can go through that. So in the package is their athlete information sheet, which has their heat time. It has their age group that they're in. It has their wristband, it has their, it says what color their wristband is, just in case you lose your wristband. You're like, I think I was purple, or was I purple stripes? It has it on there. We also have all of that information on our spreadsheet. So if you lose something or if something is misplaced, don't worry, we'll have extras on the site. And then it just has a couple of information cards about that. So it's a pretty simple package. They also get their t-shirts, and they will be getting a water bottle from Edmonton Triathlon Academy this year as well. So that's what they get. Hopefully you can come to Running Room tomorrow to pick that up. If not, we will have them on site on Saturday morning. It's just Saturday morning is really busy. So if you can pick it up on Thursday night, will save you some time on Saturday morning. Yes, you can check it on Saturday morning. I'm answering my questions before I even answer or read these questions. Check-in on Saturday morning starts at 6:45 a.m. So you can show up anytime. If you're worried about road closures, you can show up earlier, but our people will be ready to start check-in at 6:45 a.m. So keep in mind of your transition close times. If you are 9 and under, if your child is 9 and under, your transition closes at about 7:50. So that's about an hour and a few minutes to get through that check-in process, to get through body marking and chip timing and get into your transition and get that all set up. So keep that in mind in your timing of the morning. I know it's early. Hopefully that's all right. So Lena, thank you for your question. Parents can help set up the transition area before the area races. If your child is 7 or under, one parent can go in and help with the actual transition of the races. Anybody 8 and up, those children have to do it on their own. Parents are not allowed in the transition area for 8 and up. So access into the transition to pick up your belongings. This is the end of the event in theory. Like I said, though, the transition area is actually going to be split up into 2 halves. This main transition, am I still sharing my screen? No. Hold on, let me share that again. What we plan to do, the 5 and under are going to be on this end of transition, and 6 and 7, and 8 and 9. So what we'll do is kind of have it split into half. So if you're 9 and under, you'll be able to get into your part of transition a little bit earlier with some supervision. And then the 10 and 11-year-olds, you won't be able to get in until all of the 10 and 11-year-olds are done. The 12 and 13-year-olds are in a different transition, so they're the only ones in there. So when they're done, you can get into transition. Yes, I did say 7 and under, you can help with transition. Chris, thank you. So your daughter injured her ankle. That is unfortunate. That's always unfortunate when kids are injured. But yeah, absolutely, we can accommodate. Just let us know if you can maybe find myself on race morning. I'll just make sure that she's marked appropriately so people know, and then we'll just have to put a note on her timing chips so we know that it's modified a little bit. So the gravel that the kids have to ride on, it's about 300 meters to just under 300 meters that they have to ride on. Is that okay, Casey Lee? Your 8-year-old has a road bike. We knew that it might happen a little bit, and we were trying to avoid it as much as possible. But unfortunately, with the site, that wasn't avoidable completely. So we were taking our bets a little bit that the majority of kids under 11 years old were going to have mountain bikes, not road bikes. So hopefully that is all right. The swim is a 25-meter pool. 9 and under must exit the transition area by 7:50. That is correct. And then 9 to 13 are out by 9 a.m. That's correct. Yep. Sophia. Does the buffet have vegetarian options? Lena, thank you for asking that. We actually have no control over the lunch. Royal Glenora has offered this to this event for the cost that they have set. We have asked that question. I believe the macaroni and cheese is vegetarian. It's probably not vegan. I'm guessing they don't have vegan cheese, but yeah, we haven't heard back if they actually have vegetarian hot dogs or not. So I will note that. I know somebody, Lindsay on our team, was following up on that. So I will check with her tomorrow if she's heard back on that one. That is a great question. And then, yes, again, we can pick up your race package on Saturday morning. Just expect, we just like as many people as possible to do it on Thursday, just to reduce the lineups on Saturday. It can be a little bit busy and a little bit chaotic. Approximately how many kids are in each heat? It depends on the age group. The largest age group that we have is 6 and 7-year-olds. I actually wrote this down. There's 72 6 and 7-year-olds. So we've divided that up into 4 heats. Obviously, there's also 4 heats for the 8 and 9-year-olds. There's 65 in total, but we've tried to keep it to 24 and under in each heat. Again, to accommodate for how many kids we could fit, max kids we could fit in a lane at a time, which maximum it's 4. That's how many we can fit in a lane at one time. So the heats are no bigger than 24 kids, but a lot of them are a little bit smaller than that, just depending on where the age breakup happens. So where do the 12 and 13-year-olds age group exit the pool to their transition? So they exit the pool in the same location. They are going to be running out. Hold on, I'll see if I can bring up one of those maps just to show my cursor a little bit better. Thank you, bear with me. This map is going to be small, but if you refer to the map in your athlete guide, they actually exit out in the same way everybody else does. They cross the road just like everybody else does, but instead of going into the main transition here, they are going to be running down what will be carpet down the path and then down this paved trail to get to their transition area. So it's the same, but once that heat starts, then we are going to just change our volunteers a little bit to start directing them into the right place. What happens if they have difficulty with the transitions between each triathlon activity? You know what? It's a learning experience for a lot of kids. This is their first triathlon. We'll have volunteers that can help them or talk them through their difficulties if they're having it. I know it can be a really stressful thing when kids feel like they have to rush as fast as they can. But you know what? This is a learning experience for them, and it's all part of the learning experience. So if they do really have difficulty and need help, then we will try our best to walk them through that. And yeah, the volunteers will be there to help them through it if they need it. When does River Valley Road close? That's a great question. It will be closing between 6 and 7. They start closing it around 6:15. That's when they start putting their barricades. I don't know which end they're going to close first. So really by 6:30, it will probably be closed. I'm saying it's going to be closed. You might still be able to sneak in one end, either east or west. I'm not sure. It depends on how they close the road. So I would say by 6:30 it will be closed. So if you're going to plan to park in the overflow lot of Royal Glenora, plan to come up on the 105th to Fort Way Drive and down behind the legislature building. That's how you can get into there. So those are all really great questions. Hopefully I answered everything. Is there anything else any questions that anybody wanted to have or any discussion? Do they leave their bikes in the transition area after their heat and wait until the end of the event? Yes, they do. So after they get back from their bike, they're going to be parking their bike again. They should probably already be wearing running shoes, or if they're changing their shoes, if they have clip-ons already for their road bike, then that's fine. They'll be changing into their running shoes and their bike will stay in their transition spot until they're done running. I know there's been a few questions about, can I access my bike? Can we not? Our first priority is safety of the event. So if we're finding that transition needs to be cleared of parents, or we'll keep it clear until we can safely let parents in. It does go quite quickly as we go along. So no, they don't exit with their bike at the end of the race because they're finishing in the finish line, and they won't be able to get back into transition until it's clear to do so. So the pickup on Thursday is not the same location of the event. The pickup on Thursday is at the running room on 109th Street, which is different than the Royal Glenora Club. I can see somebody typing, so I'm going to wait. Yes, bikes, everything in your transition area needs. So the question is, do the bikes need to be in the transition area before the transition area closes? Yes, they do. So when the transition area closed, that means for your age group, that means that everything that they need for transition needs to be set up already, which is why it's important that you pay attention to those transition close times, because once the race starts, you're not allowed to go set up your bike and set up your things, which basically means that they're not going to have the gear that they need. So it's really important that you pay attention to when those are. As I said, for kids 7 or 9 and under, it is 7:50 is when transition closes. And for 10 to 13-year-olds, it's 9 a.m. when transition closes. So please make sure their bikes, their helmets, their running shoes, and their clothes are all there and set up before those times. Yes, when I say when I say you need to exit the transition area before a certain time, that's for setting up. During the race, the participants are allowed into the transition area to switch between the sports that they're doing, but parents have to be out. We can't have people walking in their bikes and setting up their shoes and their bikes as the race is going on. Yes, Strider bikes are allowed for a 3-year-old. Correct. If you have your 3-year-old, Strider bikes are good. I've seen kids on Strider bikes. Some of them are faster than kids on pedal bikes, so that's totally fine. Whatever they're comfortable with. Helmets are still required for Strider bikes. And also, please keep in mind that a portion of the bike course is on gravel, which again is usually fine for Strider bikes, but just make sure your kid is prepared for that. First heat starts at 8 a.m., which is why we need to close that portion of the transition by 7:50, because we need to have it cleared out and everybody out of there before the first heat starts. So 8 a.m. is when the 5 and under males start, followed by the 5 and under females. Those heats happen really, really quick because their distances are so short, which is why if you see on the schedule, the next heats for the 6 and 7-year-olds starts at about 8:10. It's really quick. They're in and out pretty fast. So there may be more questions. You guys are welcome to email one of the emails that is that you've been, or respond to one of the emails that you have already. I know that there it's a lot of learning for parents and for participants as it goes. I want to assure you that we're definitely there to help. The volunteers are there to help. If you don't know something, find somebody with a safety vest and we will try our best to answer it. I will be out on site. My team will be out on site throughout the whole event. We'll be there quite early in the morning. So please don't stress over it. We're there to have fun. We're there to teach kids about triathlon and to make sure that they have a good experience. So that same goes for the parents. So I encourage all of you to come and have fun and to cheer the kids on and just to enjoy the learning experience, if it's a learning experience, or to enjoy the race as it goes, because it really is fun, and that hopefully we want the kids to have fun. And they obviously take our attitudes and atmospheres with them. So Yeah, so thank you so much for coming in and listening. This will be posted online if you want to listen to it again. It was a lot of me talking, but yeah, you will be able to reference back to it. And if not, we'll see you on Saturday morning. Thanks, everybody.